Dr. Varix had 4 arms and skin that glowed with soft blue light. The Xanthari people were known across the galaxy for being good with animals. Varix had worked with creatures from 100 different worlds. Big ones, small ones, dangerous ones. Nothing scared the doctor anymore. Or so Varix thought. The call came in during the morning shift at the Galactic Wildlife Sanctuary. Station Kepler 7 was a huge space station that orbited a quiet star. The sanctuary took care of rare animals from many planets. It was Varix's job to keep them healthy and safe. A cargo ship is here, the message said. They have a problem. An animal escaped. They need help right away. Varix grabbed the medical kit and hurried to the docking bay. The security team was already there. 5 armed guards with weapons that could stun even the biggest creatures. They all looked nervous. What kind of animal? Varix asked the cargo ship captain. The captain was a Helian, tall and thin with silver skin. His hands were shaking. From Earth, the captain said. A place called Earth. The file says it is a Class 12 death world. The animal is called a tiger. It is in our cargo bay. We sealed the doors, but we can hear it. Sounds very angry. Varix knew about death worlds. They were planets so dangerous that most species could not survive there. High gravity, deadly weather, poisonous air, or predators everywhere. Earth was all of these things, and humans came from Earth. They had only joined the Galactic Council a few years ago. Most aliens still did not understand them. The security team leader checked his weapon. We go in fast, he said. Use the stun field. Put the creature to sleep. Then we move it to a safe cage. Varix nodded. That was the normal way. It was safe. It protected everyone. The doctor walked to the window that looked into the cargo bay. The tiger was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It was big, maybe 300 pounds of pure muscle. Orange fur with black stripes covered its body. The tiger walked back and forth, back and forth. Its tail moved like a whip. When it opened its mouth, Varix could see teeth as long as fingers. Sharp teeth, killing teeth. The tiger made a sound, a deep rumbling growl that made the window shake. Every part of the animal said danger. Every movement showed power. This was a creature built to hunt, built to kill. Varix felt the old fear, the fear that all prey animals carry deep inside. The Xanthari were peaceful people. They had no predators on their home world. Seeing this tiger made something ancient wake up in Varix's brain. Something that said run, hide, get away. The security team was ready. They moved toward the door. Then someone else arrived. Wait, a voice said. Please wait. Everyone turned. A human stood there. He was young, maybe 25 Earth years. Brown hair, green eyes. He wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. Nothing special about him, just an ordinary human. My name is Kyle Bennett, the human said. I work with animals. I was on another ship, but I heard about this. Please let me help. The security leader laughed. You want to go in there? With that thing? It will kill you. Kyle looked through the window at the tiger. His face was calm. No, he said quietly. It will not. May I try? This is foolish, Varix said. That animal is dangerous. Look at it, listen to it. Every part of it wants to attack. Kyle smiled. It was a gentle smile. Every part of it wants to be safe, he said. There is a difference. Before anyone could stop him, Kyle walked to the airlock. He pressed the button. The door opened. The human stepped inside. The door closed behind him. Varix rushed to the window. All 4 hands pressed against the glass. This human was going to die. Right here. Right now. And there was nothing anyone could do. The inner door of the airlock opened. Kyle stepped into the cargo bay. The tiger saw him immediately. The animal's body dropped low. Its ears went flat against its head. The growl got louder. Much louder. Get ready to activate the stun field, Varix told the security team. As soon as that tiger moves, we stop it. We can save the human if we are fast. But Kyle did something strange. He stopped walking. He stood very still. Then slowly he got down on one knee. He made himself smaller. He did not look at the tiger. Instead, he looked to the side, away from the animal. What is he doing? The security leader whispered. Why is he looking away? Kyle began to speak. His voice was so soft that Varix had to turn up the audio system to hear him. The human was not speaking to anyone in particular. He was just talking, soft words, gentle sounds. It is okay, Kyle said. You are scared, I know. This place is strange. You do not know where you are. You do not know what is happening. Everything smells wrong. Everything sounds wrong. I understand. It is okay to be scared. The tiger kept growling, but the sound changed. Just a little. Kyle stayed on his knee. He did not move. He kept talking in that soft voice. Then Kyle said something that made Varix freeze. It is only scared, only scared. The doctor looked at the tiger again. That massive predator with its sharp teeth and powerful body. That creature that could kill with one strike. Scared? But as Varix watched, something changed. The tiger's ears moved. Just a little, not flat anymore. The growl got quieter. The animal was still watching Kyle, but different now. Not like prey. Like something else, Kyle stayed perfectly still. He breathed slowly, in and out, in and out. His whole body was relaxed. He did not show any fear, but he also did not show any aggression. He was just there, present, calm, patient. Minutes passed. Long, slow minutes. Nobody in the observation area spoke. Nobody moved. They all watched the impossible scene in the cargo bay. The tiger sat down. It was still watching Kyle, still alert, but it sat. The growl stopped completely. The animal's tail was not whipping anymore. It lay still on the floor. Good, Kyle said softly. That is good. You are doing so well. Nothing here will hurt you. I promise. You are safe. Varix could not believe what was happening. The doctor had studied animal behavior for 30 years, had worked with 1,000 different species, but never had Varix seen anything like this. A human from a death world, talking to a predator from the same death world as if they understood each other. And maybe they did. Maybe that was the secret. Both of them came from Earth. Both of them knew what it meant to be dangerous, to be strong, to be a hunter, but also to be afraid, to be lost, to need kindness. Kyle slowly reached into his pocket. The tiger tensed but did not growl. The human pulled out a small piece of food, some kind of dried meat. He tossed it gently toward the tiger. Not at the tiger, just near it. Then he looked away again. The tiger sniffed the air, looked at the food, looked at Kyle. Then, carefully, it leaned forward and took the food. It ate. The whole time, Kyle stayed still, stayed calm, stayed safe. Varix realized something important in that moment. The doctor had always thought the key to handling dangerous animals was control. Keep them contained. Keep them sedated. Keep them at a distance. But Kyle was showing a different way. Not control, understanding, not force, patience, not fear, compassion. The human stayed in the cargo bay for another hour. Slowly, carefully, he built trust with the tiger. By the end, the animal was eating from his hand. When Kyle finally led the tiger into a proper transport cage, the animal went willingly, calmly, like it knew this human would keep it safe. When Kyle came out of the cargo bay, everyone stared at him. The security team looked confused. The cargo captain looked relieved, and Varix looked at this ordinary human in a completely new way. How? Varix asked. How did you do that? Kyle shrugged. It was only scared, he said again. Everything acts aggressive when it is afraid. You just have to show them they do not need to be afraid anymore. Show them kindness. Show them patience. Show them you understand. The doctor stood there, all four arms hanging at the sides, and realized that humanity had just taught the galaxy something very important, something that would change everything. Varix could not stop thinking about what happened with the tiger. That night, the doctor lay in the sleeping pod and replayed the scene over and over. A human walking calmly toward a predator, getting down on his knee, speaking softly, and the tiger, that dangerous creature, calming down, listening, trusting. The next morning, Varix went looking for Kyle. The human was easy to find. He was at the sanctuary, sitting outside the tiger's new habitat. Just sitting, watching the animal rest in the sunshine that came through the dome above. May I join you? Varix asked. Kyle smiled and moved over on the bench. Of course, Doctor. Please sit. They sat together in silence for a while. The tiger was sleeping now. It looked peaceful, content. Hard to believe this was the same animal that had been so angry yesterday. I want to understand, Varix said finally. What you did yesterday. How you knew it would work. Kyle thought for a moment before answering. On Earth, he said, humans learned a long time ago that animals are not so different from us. They feel fear. They feel pain. They want to be safe just like we do. When an animal acts aggressive, it is usually because it is scared or hurt or protecting something it loves. But that tiger is a predator, Varric said. A killer. It has teeth and claws made for hunting. So do I, Kyle said quietly. So does every human. We are predators too, Doctor. We have forward-facing eyes for tracking prey. We can run for hours without stopping, chasing animals until they collapse from exhaustion. Our bodies can digest almost anything. We come from a world where everything wants to kill everything else. But we learned something important. Being able to kill does not mean we should. Being dangerous does not mean we have to be cruel. Varric listened carefully. This was a new way of thinking. The Xanthari were peaceful. They had evolved on a world with no large predators. They solved problems with their minds, not their bodies. The idea that a predator could choose kindness was strange, but also beautiful. Will you teach me? Varric asked. Will you show me how to do what you do? Kyle looked surprised, then pleased. I would be honored, Doctor. But I have to warn you, it is not fast. It takes time. Patience. You have to learn to see with different eyes. I have time, Varric said, and I want to learn. Over the next few days, Kyle stayed at the sanctuary. He worked with Varric and the other staff members. He taught them how to watch animals carefully, how to read their body language. A tail held high means confidence. Ears back means fear or aggression. Eyes looking away means no threat. Small things. Important things. Kyle also taught them about patience. Real patience. Not just waiting, but being present. Not demanding anything from the animal. Just existing in their space, letting them come to you when they were ready. The first test came with a Vorlaxian storm drake. The creature had been brought to the sanctuary 3 months ago. It was sick and frightened. Every time anyone tried to treat it, the drake would spit acid and thrash its tail. The staff had given up trying. They just left food and medicine near the drake's cave and hoped it would eat. Kyle asked to work with the drake. Varric was nervous. The storm drakes were dangerous. Their acid could burn through metal. Their tails could break bones. But Kyle seemed calm as always. The human sat down outside the drake's cave. He sat there for 3 hours. He did not try to go inside. He did not call to the drake. He just sat. Sometimes he hummed quietly. Sometimes he just breathed. Varric watched the whole time, taking notes. After 3 hours, something changed. The drake's head appeared at the cave entrance. Just the head. Yellow eyes stared at Kyle. The human did not move, did not look directly at the drake. Just kept humming his soft tune. The next day, Kyle came back. He sat in the same spot, hummed the same tune. This time, the drake came out a little further. Its whole head and neck were visible now. Still watching Kyle, still cautious. On the 3rd day, the drake came all the way out of the cave. It stayed far from Kyle, but it was out. In the open. This was progress. Varric could hardly believe it. 3 months of trying with force and medicine had failed. 3 days of patience had succeeded. On the 5th day, Kyle brought food. He placed it halfway between himself and the drake. Then he moved back to his usual spot. The drake watched him, waited. Then slowly, carefully, it moved forward and took the food. It ate while Kyle sat quietly. By the end of the 2nd week, Kyle was able to treat the drake's illness. He moved slowly. He spoke softly. He let the drake smell the medicine first. When he finally applied it to the drake's infected wing, the creature stayed still. It trusted him. Varric tried the same method with a Krillian tunnel serpent. The serpent had not eaten since arriving at the sanctuary. It hid in the darkest corner of its enclosure and hissed at anyone who came close. The staff was worried it would die from starvation. Following Kyle's example, Varric simply sat near the enclosure. The doctor brought a data pad and worked quietly. No demands on the serpent, no attempts to force interaction. Just presence, just patience. It was harder than Varric expected. The Xanthari were not naturally patient in this way. They liked to solve problems, to fix things, to take action. But sitting and doing nothing felt wrong. Still, Varric trusted Kyle. The doctor sat. Days passed, then a week. The serpent stayed hidden. Varric kept sitting, every day, morning and evening. Sometimes Kyle would sit too. They would sit together in comfortable silence. Varric learned to enjoy the quiet, to appreciate the stillness. On the 9th day, something wonderful happened. Varric was reading on the datapad when movement caught the doctor's eye. The serpent's head was poking out from its hiding spot, just a little. but it was watching Varix, making eye contact. Varix did not react, did not move quickly or speak, just acknowledged the serpent with a slow blink and went back to reading. The message was clear. You are safe. I am not a threat. Take your time. 2 days later, the serpent came all the way out. It explored its enclosure while Varix sat quietly. And then that evening it ate. Just a little bit of food, but it was eating. It was going to survive. Kyle taught the whole sanctuary staff his methods. He showed them how to approach each species differently. Some animals needed space, others needed gentle sounds. Some responded to food rewards, others just needed time. There was no single answer. Each animal was an individual with its own needs and fears and personality. The sanctuary began to change. The animals were calmer, healthier. The staff was calmer too. There was less stress, less fear. Everyone worked together more smoothly. Word spread through the station. Other facilities asked for advice. Kyle and Varix started giving lessons to anyone who wanted to learn. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset through the dome, Varix said something that had been on the doctor's mind. You have changed how we think about animals, Kyle. But I think you have changed more than that. You have changed how we think about fear itself. About aggression. About what it means to be strong. Kyle was quiet for a moment. Then he said, on Earth we have a saying, the strongest person in the room is the one who does not need to prove it. Real strength is gentle. Real power is patient. I think the galaxy is learning what humans learned a long time ago. That compassion is not weakness. It is the greatest strength of all. Varix looked at this human, this ordinary-looking person from a deadly world, and understood. Humanity's greatest gift was not their tough bodies or their clever minds. It was their huge capacity for kindness, for understanding, for seeing the fear in others and choosing to heal it instead of using it. The doctor smiled, blue skin glowing softly in the fading light. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for teaching us, for showing us a better way. Kyle smiled back. Thank you for being willing to learn, Doctor. That takes courage, too. Maybe even more courage than facing a tiger. They sat together as the stars came out above the dome, two very different beings from two very different worlds, but connected now by something universal, by kindness, by patience, by the simple truth that every creature, no matter how dangerous it might seem, just wants to feel safe. 3 weeks after Kyle arrived at the sanctuary, everything changed. The emergency alarm woke everyone on the station at 4 a.m. Loud and urgent. Something terrible had happened. Varix rushed to the command center. Kyle was already there. So were dozens of other people. Everyone was staring at the main screen. It showed a ship, or what was left of a ship. The vessel was broken and twisted, floating in the asteroid field near the station. The station commander, a tall Helion named Kara, was speaking quickly. Transport ship Meridian, she said. It was carrying colonists to the outer rim. The ship hit an asteroid.
Hull breach.
The crew died instantly, but the cargo bays are intact. There are animals trapped inside. Lots of them. From many different worlds. How long do we have? Someone asked. 6 hours, Kara said. Maybe less. The ship's orbit is falling. It will burn up in our atmosphere. Everything inside will die. The room fell silent. 6 hours to save dozens of animals from a dying ship. It seemed impossible. We can use automated drones, someone suggested. Send them in to grab the animals and bring them back. Kara shook her head. The animals are panicking. Our sensors show they are fighting each other, attacking anything that moves. The drones would just make it worse. The animals would destroy them, or hurt themselves trying to escape. Then we need people, Kyle said quietly. We need a rescue team. People who understand animals, who can work with them even when they are scared. Everyone turned to look at the human. Kara frowned. It is too dangerous, she said. The ship is unstable. The atmosphere is mixed. Some areas are breathable, others are toxic, and the animals themselves are threats. We could lose the rescue team, we could, Kyle agreed. But if we do nothing, all those animals will definitely die. I volunteer to lead the team. I know how to work with frightened animals. Even in bad conditions, I will go too, Varix said immediately. I have learned from Kyle I can help. Kara stepped forward. I am coming as well. You will need security support. Someone to handle the dangerous situations. A fourth person pushed through the crowd. He was human, older than Kyle. Maybe 45 years old with gray in his hair. My name is Marcus Wright, he said. I work in the agricultural sector. I know about farm animals and livestock. Let me help. Kyle looked at his team. A Xanthari doctor, a Hellion security officer, a human farmer, and himself. It was not much, but it would have to be enough. They geared up quickly. Protective suits with air supplies, medical equipment, food and water for the animals, portable cages and carriers, everything they could think of. Then they boarded the rescue shuttle and flew toward the dying ship. The closer they got, the worse the ship looked. Huge holes in the hull, sparks flying from damaged systems. The whole thing was spinning slowly, like a dying creature trying to right itself. They docked at an emergency port. The airlock door opened with a grinding sound. Inside the ship was dark. Emergency lights flickered on and off. They could hear sounds. Animal sounds, barking, hissing, the screech of something in pain. Remember, Kyle said to the team, they are more scared than we are. They do not understand what is happening. We move slow. We stay calm. We show them we are here to help. They split into pairs. Kyle and Varix went toward the main cargo bay. Marcus and Kara headed to the lower levels. They all turned on their communication links so they could talk to each other. Kyle and Varix reached the main cargo bay first. The door was jammed halfway open. They squeezed through. Inside was chaos. A Xanthari wing rider, a creature as big as an earth horse, was slamming its crystalline wings against the walls. The sound was terrible, like breaking glass over and over. 3 earth dogs were huddled in a corner, barking frantically at everything. A Morellian tide runner was bleeding from a wound on its side. It was releasing toxic gas from its skin. Even through their suit filters, Varix could smell it. The clock in Varix's helmet showed 5 hours and 30 minutes remaining. They had to work fast. But Kyle had taught the doctor that fast did not mean rushed. Fast meant efficient, calm, focused. Kyle pulled out a small device, a light projector. He pointed it at the wall near the wing rider. Soft colors began to move across the metal, blues and purples and golds, gentle patterns that looked like a sunset. What are you doing? Varix asked. Wing riders navigate by their sun, Kyle said softly. The colors calm them, remind them of home. It worked. Slowly, the wing rider stopped thrashing. Its movements became less frantic. It was still stressed, but not panicking anymore. It watched the colors on the wall. Good, Kyle whispered. Now, doctor, the tide runner needs you. It is injured, scared, in pain. Can you help it? Varix felt afraid. The tide runner's toxic gas could be dangerous even through the suit if the creature released too much. And injured animals were unpredictable. But Varix remembered Kyle's words. It is only scared. The doctor moved slowly toward the tide runner. Hands visible. No sudden movements. Varix began to make soft clicking sounds. The Xanthari used these sounds to calm their young. Maybe it would work on other species too. The tide runner turned to look at Varix. Its eyes were wide, pupils dilated. Classic fear response. The doctor kept clicking, kept moving slowly. Got close enough to see the wound. A deep cut from the crash. Bleeding badly, I see you, Varix said gently. I see you are hurt. I want to help. Will you let me help? Of course, the tide runner did not understand the words, but maybe it understood the tone, the gentleness, the lack of threat. It stopped releasing the toxic gas. Its body relaxed just a little. Varix reached very slowly into the medical kit, pulled out a healing gel, showed it to the tide runner, let the creature smell it through the air. Then, moving like water, smooth and slow, the doctor applied the gel to the wound. The tide runner tensed. But it did not attack, did not flee. It let Varix work. And as the medicine started to ease the pain, the creature's breathing slowed. Its eyes closed halfway. Relief. You are doing great, doctor, Kyle said. The wing rider is calm now. I am going to approach the dogs. Keep working with your patient. Meanwhile, in the lower levels, Marcus and Kara were having their own challenges. They found a group of Helian frost beetles in a cold storage unit. The beetles were highly territorial. They had already attacked 2 cargo containers, melting through the metal with their acid. We cannot get close to them, Kara said. They will spray us. Marcus studied the beetles. He had worked with earth insects before. Social insects followed certain patterns. They protected their space, but they also followed food trails. It was instinct. Do you have any sweet nutrient paste in your kit? He asked Kara. The officer checked. Yes, for feeding young animals. Why? Give it to me. I have an idea. Marcus took the paste and created a trail from the storage unit to a portable habitat container. A line of sweet food leading to safety. Then he and Kara backed away and waited. One beetle emerged. Then another. They followed the trail. One by one, drawn by instinct and hunger, they walked right into the container. When the last beetle was inside, Kara sealed the door. They were safe. Good work, Marcus said. Now let us find the other animals. We still have work to do. Back in the main cargo bay, Kyle had finished with the dogs. He had sat with them for 20 minutes. Just sat, patient and still. Now all 3 dogs were safely in carriers, calm and quiet. The wing rider was in a specialized container. The Tide Runner was bandaged and resting. The bay was empty now except for the rescue team. How much time, Kyle asked. 3 hours, Varric said. We need to sweep the other sections. Make sure we did not miss anyone. They moved through the ship. Found more animals. Each one scared, each one needing a different approach. But every time, patience worked. Understanding worked. Kindness worked. With 30 minutes left, they made their final sweep. Every animal accounted for, every life saved. They returned to the shuttle with their precious cargo. As they pulled away from the dying ship, it began its final descent. The hull glowed red with heat, then orange, then white. It burned like a falling star across the station's sky. They watched from the shuttle window. Nobody spoke. They were all thinking the same thing. How close it had been, how easily it could have ended differently. But they had done it, together. With patience and understanding and compassion, they had done the impossible. The sanctuary's medical bay was full of rescued animals. Varric moved from one patient to another, checking wounds, giving medicine, making sure everyone was comfortable. The doctor had never been so tired, or so satisfied. Kyle was helping, so were Marcus and Kara. The whole station staff had come to assist. Everyone wanted to be part of the rescue. Everyone wanted to help these survivors. The wing rider was resting in a large habitat. Its crystalline wings were damaged but healing. Varric had applied a special gel that helped crystal growth. In a few weeks, the creature would fly again. The Morellian Tide Runner was doing better too. The wound was closed now. No more toxic gas. The creature was eating and sleeping normally. It even let Varric check its bandages without stress. The 3 Earth dogs were together in a warm kennel. They had bonded during the rescue. Now they slept in a pile, finding comfort in each other. One of them, a golden-colored female, had adopted Kyle as her person. She followed him everywhere with her tail wagging. "You have a friend," Varric said to Kyle, pointing at the dog. Kyle smiled and petted the dog's head. "She is a good girl. Brave. She protected the other 2 dogs during the crash, stayed with them even when she was scared." "What will happen to all of them?" Varric asked. "The animals. They were going to a new colony. But that colony does not exist now." Kyle looked around at all the rescued creatures. "Some will stay here at the sanctuary. Others will be adopted by people on the station. A few might go back to their home worlds. We will find good places for all of them, places where they will be safe and loved." That night, after all the animals were settled, the station held a gathering. It was in the main observation dome. Hundreds of people came. Humans, Xanthari, Helians, Krillians, beings from a dozen different species. All of them wanted to hear about the rescue. The station commander stood at the front. She was still in her uniform, looking tired but proud. "Today," she said, 4 brave people did something amazing. They went into a dying ship and saved every single animal inside. Not one life was lost. This is because they understood something important. They understood that fear makes everyone act in ways they normally would not. And they met that fear with patience and kindness. The crowd applauded. Kyle, Varric, Marcus, and Kara stood together, uncomfortable with all the attention. They had just done what needed to be done. "What felt right?" the commander continued. "I have sent a report to the Galactic Council. I told them about Kyle's methods, about what we learned. I think this will change how the whole galaxy thinks about animal care." More applause. Then someone in the crowd asked a question. "How did you stay so calm in that situation, with the ship falling and the animals panicking? How did you not panic too?" Kyle thought about this. Then he said, "The animals needed us to be calm. If we panicked, they would panic more. We had to be the stable thing in their chaos, the safe place they could trust. That meant putting our own fear aside and focusing on them, on their needs, not ours." Varric added, "Kyle taught me that fear is like a circle. If you respond to fear with more fear, the circle gets bigger. It grows until everyone is afraid and nobody can think clearly. But if you respond to fear with calmness, the circle breaks. The fear has nowhere to go. It fades. The crowd was quiet now, listening carefully. These were not just words about animals. These were words about life, about how to handle any scary situation. Marcus spoke next. I want to say something about humans. People think we are dangerous because we come from a death world. And yes, Earth is deadly. Everything there wants to kill you. But that is exactly why we learned to be gentle. We had to. If humans had stayed violent and aggressive, we would have destroyed ourselves long ago. We learned that the strongest person is not the one who fights. It is the one who chooses not to fight, who chooses understanding instead. Kara stepped forward. I am a security officer. My job is to protect people. I always thought that meant using weapons and force. But today I learned something. The best protection is not making someone stop being dangerous. It is helping them not need to be dangerous anymore. The animals on that ship were threats because they were afraid. Once we took away the fear, they stopped being threats. They became just scared creatures who needed help. The gathering lasted for hours. People asked questions, shared their own stories about animals they had known, talked about how they could use these ideas in their own lives. It was more than just a celebration. It was a learning moment for the whole station. Over the next few weeks, something beautiful happened. People started visiting the sanctuary more often, not just to look at the animals, but to learn. They wanted to understand body language, to practice patience, to develop that calm presence that Kyle had shown. Varric started teaching classes. The doctor showed students how to approach different species, how to read their signals, how to be present without being threatening. The classes were always full. Everyone wanted to learn. Kyle and Marcus worked together to create training programs. They made videos showing proper techniques. They wrote guides for different types of animals. They answered questions from other stations who wanted to improve their own facilities. One day a message came from the Galactic Council. They wanted to send observers to the sanctuary. They wanted to see these new methods in person, maybe adopt them across all council space. The observers arrived a month after the rescue. There were 5 of them, different species, different backgrounds, all of them experts in animal care and xenobiology. They spent 2 weeks watching everything, taking notes, asking questions. The lead observer was a Xanthari like Varix, an older person with silver patterns on their blue skin. At the end of the 2 weeks, this observer called everyone together for a final meeting. What we have seen here is remarkable, the observer said. You have reduced stress in the animals by 70%. Medical recovery times are half what they were before. You have had 0 injuries to staff, 0 escapes, 0 behavioral problems. These results are better than any facility in the galaxy. And you achieved this not with better technology or more resources, but with a simple change in approach. You treat animals as individuals. You respect their fear. You meet aggression with understanding instead of force. The observer paused, then continued. The Council is prepared to make these methods the official standard. We will call them the Compassionate Care Protocols. Every animal facility in Council space will be required to train their staff in these techniques. We will use this sanctuary as the model, and we would like to offer all of you positions as trainers. Travel to other stations. Teach what you know. Share this gift with the galaxy. Kyle looked at his friends, Varix, Marcus, Kara. They had become a team, a family, and now they had a chance to spread their message across the stars. We accept, Kyle said, all of us. We will teach anyone who wants to learn, because this is not just about animals. It is about how we treat all living things, how we respond to fear and anger and pain, with understanding, with patience, with compassion. That evening, Varix found Kyle in the tiger's habitat. The big cat was awake, watching them through the glass. It looked healthy now, strong, content. The tiger yawned, showing those huge teeth, then settled down to sleep. Do you remember the first day? Varix asked. When I thought you were going to die. When I was ready to stun that tiger to save you, Kyle nodded. I remember. You were doing what you thought was right, what you had been taught. There is no shame in that. But you taught me something better, Varix said. You taught me that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is nothing. Just be present. Be patient. Trust that if you show kindness, you will receive it back, even from a predator. Especially from a predator, Kyle said softly. Because predators know danger intimately, they respect it. When you show a predator that you mean no harm, that you understand their strength and do not fear it, they respect that too. It becomes a kind of trust. A bond between two dangerous creatures who choose to be gentle with each other. They stood together watching the sleeping tiger. The golden dog came and sat beside Kyle, leaning against his leg. Marcus and Kara joined them, drawn by the peaceful scene. "This is what we will show the galaxy," Kara said. "This moment right here. Beings from different worlds, standing together in peace, all because someone chose understanding over fear." The 5 of them, 4 people and 1 dog, watched the tiger dream, and in that quiet moment, they knew they had changed something fundamental, not just in how the galaxy treated animals, but in how everyone might treat each other. With patience, with kindness, with the simple recognition that beneath all the fear and anger and aggression, every being just wants to feel safe. 6 months had passed since the rescue. The sanctuary was no longer just a place for animals. It had become a school, a place where beings from across the galaxy came to learn a new way of thinking. Varric stood in front of a class of 30 students. They were from 15 different species. Some were veterinarians like the doctor. Others were rescue workers, security officers, even diplomats who wanted to understand conflict better. "Today we practice reading body language," Varric said. "Come with me to the observation deck." The class followed. The observation deck looked down on several animal habitats. The students could watch without disturbing the creatures inside. "Look at the Krillian serpent in Habitat 3, Varric instructed. "What is its body telling you?" A young Helian student spoke up. "It is coiled loosely, not tight. The head is resting on its body. Eyes are half closed." "I think it feels safe." "Excellent," Varric said. "And what about the wing rider in Habitat 1? A Xanthari student answered. "Wings are folded close to the body. It is preening them, grooming behavior. That means it is relaxed. It trusts its environment." Varric smiled. All 4 of the doctor's hands gestured at the habitats below. 6 months ago, these animals were terrified, aggressive. Now look at them, healthy, calm, happy. This is what happens when you treat fear with understanding instead of force. Kyle walked into the observation deck with the golden dog at his side. The dog, now named Sunny, went everywhere with him. She had become something of a teaching assistant. Students loved practicing their gentle approach techniques with her. "How is the class doing?" Kyle asked Varric. "Wonderfully. They are learning fast. Next week we start practical training with actual animals." Kyle nodded, then addressed the students. "Remember," he said, "there is no single right way to approach every animal. Each one is different. Each one has its own personality, its own fears, its own needs. The key is to observe, to listen, to let the animal tell you what it needs. If you try to force your idea of help onto them, you will fail. But if you let them guide you, you will succeed." One student raised a hand. A young human woman. "What about animals that are truly dangerous? Not just scared, but genuinely aggressive? How do you handle that?" Kyle considered this. "Truly aggressive animals are rare," he said. "Usually what looks like aggression is fear or pain or territorial behavior. But yes, sometimes an animal is genuinely dangerous. In those cases, safety comes first. We use distance. We use barriers. We do not put ourselves or the animal at unnecessary risk. Compassion does not mean being foolish. It means understanding that even a dangerous animal deserves respect and care." Just from a safe distance, across the station, Marcus was giving his own class. He specialized in farm animals and working creatures. His students were mostly agricultural workers who wanted to improve how they handled livestock. "Stress affects everything," Marcus explained to his class. "A stressed animal does not grow well, does not produce good milk or eggs, gets sick more often. But a calm, happy animal is healthier and more productive. So treating animals with kindness is not just the right thing to do. It is also the smart thing to do," he demonstrated with a group of Helian milk beasts, large, gentle creatures with soft fur. They used to be handled roughly, herded with loud noises and sharp prods. But Marcus had introduced gentle handling. Now the beasts came when called. They stood calmly for milking. They were healthier and produced more milk than ever before. "See," Marcus said. "They want to cooperate. They want to be part of the process. All we had to do was ask nicely instead of demanding." Kara had found her own niche in the new system. She taught emergency response teams, how to handle animal-related crises without making things worse. Her classes focused on staying calm under pressure, reading dangerous situations, and knowing when to act and when to wait. The most dangerous moment, she told her students, is when you let your own fear take control. Fear makes you move too fast, react instead of respond. An animal can sense fear. It makes them more afraid too. You have to be the calm center in the storm, the stable point they can trust. News of the sanctuary's success spread throughout the galaxy. Other stations started adopting the compassionate care protocols. Animal rescues increased. Injuries to both animals and handlers decreased. It was working. The Galactic Council made it official. All member worlds had to follow the new protocols. Facilities that refused lost their licenses. It was a complete transformation of how the galaxy thought about and treated animals. One evening, the original four gathered in the observation dome. It was their tradition now. Once a week they met to watch the sunset and talk about their work. "I got a message today," Varric said, "from a sanctuary on the far side of Council space. They have been using our methods for 3 months. They said their animals are healthier than they have been in years. The staff is happier too. Less stress, less conflict. They wanted to say thank you." Marcus smiled. "I got a similar message from a farm collective. They increased their production by 30% just by treating their animals better. Better for the animals, better for the farmers, better for everyone." Kara added, "The Security Council asked me to develop training for conflict resolution, not with animals. With people, they want to apply the same principles. Stay calm, read the situation, respond to fear with understanding instead of force. They think it could change how we handle diplomatic disputes." Kyle listened to his friends and felt something warm in his chest: pride, joy, hope. What started with one tiger in a cargo bay had grown into something that was changing the entire galaxy. Not through force or legislation, but through a simple idea, that kindness is stronger than fear. They looked down at the habitats below. The tiger was there in the largest enclosure. It had been named Ambassador by the children who visited the sanctuary. The tiger had become a symbol, a reminder that even the most dangerous predator can be gentle when shown kindness. Ambassador was playing with a large ball, batting it with huge paws. The tiger looked happy, at peace. Hard to believe this was the same animal that had been so terrified all those months ago. A group of young students came to the observation deck. They pressed against the glass, pointing at Ambassador. "Look how big it is," one of them said. "Is it dangerous?" Varric walked over to the children. "Very dangerous," the doctor said gently. "That tiger could hurt you badly if it wanted to, but it does not want to. Do you know why?" The children shook their heads. "Because it feels safe," Varric explained. "Because we treat it with respect and kindness. Because we understand that underneath all that power and all those teeth is just an animal that wants what we all want. To be safe, to be comfortable, to be treated well." One child asked, "Is it true that a human taught you this? That humans know how to talk to predators?" Varric smiled. "Yes, a human named Kyle taught me, but he did not teach me how to talk to predators. He taught me how to listen to them. There is a difference. Talking is about you. Listening is about them. And when you really listen, when you really try to understand, everything changes." The children watched Ambassador for a while longer. Then they left, talking excitedly about what they had learned. Varric returned to the others. "They are the future," Marcus said. "Those children. They will grow up knowing a different way, a better way. They will never think that force is the answer to fear. They will know that understanding is always stronger." Kyle nodded. "That is the real change," he said. "Not just in how we treat animals, but in how we think about fear itself, about aggression, about danger. When you understand that these things come from pain or fear or confusion, you stop responding with more pain or fear or confusion. You respond with compassion, and everything gets better." The sun set beyond the dome. The stars came out, beautiful and countless. Somewhere out there, on hundreds of worlds, beings were learning these same lessons. Learning that the greatest strength is not in how much damage you can do, but in how much healing you can bring. Ambassador settled down to sleep. The huge tiger yawned, showing those impressive teeth one last time, then closed its eyes. Peaceful, safe, loved. "It is only scared," Kyle had said that first day. Such simple words, but they had changed everything. They had shown the galaxy that fear does not have to lead to violence. That aggression does not have to be met with force. That patience and kindness can calm even the most dangerous predator. The four friends sat together in comfortable silence. They had done something important, something that would last long after they were gone. They had taught the galaxy that compassion is not weakness. It is the strongest force in the universe. And it all started with a human who saw a frightened tiger and chose understanding over fear, chose patience over force, chose to see not a monster but a scared animal that just needed someone to show it kindness. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not their technology, not their toughness, but their deep, unshakable belief that every being deserves compassion, that every creature, no matter how dangerous it might seem, has the capacity for gentleness when treated with respect and understanding. Below them, Ambassador slept. And across the galaxy, on 1,000 different worlds, beings of every species were learning the same lesson, that fear can be healed, that aggression can be calmed, that understanding is always the answer, all because someone looked at a predator and softly said, "It is only scared."